things are starting off quick down here in Boynton as we got a floater starting our day off. Our guy just didn't tie the ski up correctly. It kind of drifted off the trailer, and the next thing we know, he's stuck right here, as we can see. And it looks like he might get a little hand from a Good Samaritan vessel with a boat hook who's going to push it toward his direction, hopefully. But welcome back, crew, to the greatest show on earth, and that is the Miami Boat Ramps channel. I'm your host, Broncos Guru, and today we are down here visiting Boynton Beach. And our guy's going to get the pushover, and they should be good to go from here. But man, we've seen several of these lately down here. We just got floaters coming right off the trailer. So we just had a bunch of jet skis come rolling in. And it's always interesting sometimes to watch these guys get off, especially if they're riding two up, as you never know how that one's going to go. As I can see right here, our guy kicked off and his girl's being pushed out. She's reaching for something. Oh, she doesn't have the key. It's attached to his life jacket. So she dropped it in the water. Got the quick recovery, though. But, man, I mean, at least he had it attached to the life jacket, so at least the ski wouldn't go anywhere if he fell off. That is the correct move. But it does make for an awkward situation when you leave the ski and it goes drifting off like we just saw. Now let's see if our girl can get the ski back over to the dock. And nice, smooth reapproach. Our guy grabs it, and she's going to be good to roll. So our crew here, it took them a few minutes, but they got their boat loaded up. The weather's kind of turned on us here a little bit. Winds picked up, gotten overcast. Let's see how this crew does. Well, that's interesting. Now, I'm not hearing the tires spin or anything, but they're not going anywhere. The truck's definitely trying to pull out. And so our guy fires up the boat, tries to give him the assist with the boat even, and is still not going anywhere. And they finally get a little traction, but something is definitely up here. Because even with the boat going, they were unable to get it going, and our guy counted them down so they would go at the same time, but for whatever reason, something is definitely strange on this one. So our guy's talking to the driver of the truck, giving them some sort of information, goes back to the helm, and they give her a little help, and they kind of get it out of the water, but they stopped. And I can't tell now if the truck was... I'm not 100% sure what's happening on this one. If something's wrong with the truck. I just heard them rev the engine again, and they're still not going anywhere. There we go. Finally starting to pull out. And here comes our next crew in on approach. We've got our young lady standing in the bow. Needs to hang on. They're coming in a little hot. That wind's grabbed them, and it's pushing them toward the dock as well as the engine power. And man, we're just going to bounce right off the dock. And that's a tough one sometimes because it's difficult when you're using the wind like they just were to help push you into the dock. But when the wind's howling like it is now, it's going to grab you and it's just going to keep pushing you right into that dock. And sometimes you wind up coming in a little hot and it's difficult to control. I mean, I'll even admit I've had a couple situations where the current and wind have grabbed me when I thought, oh, I'm just going to let them push me in, even under no power. And the next thing you know, that 3-knot current's pulling you toward the dock at 3 knots on a side end, and man, it gets ugly quick. You wind up trying to back out on that because the current's just pulling you in too hard. Kind of like this crew just experienced here, but fortunately it looks like they got it on the dock, but man, they actually hit that dock pretty solid on that incoming. So our crew that came in a little hot's about to try and load this one on the trailer, but I got a feeling this is going to be interesting as well. With the current and the wind going from right to left across the screen as hard as it is right now, This can be a tricky load sometimes because you need to try and get off the dock a little bit, but everything you've got going on is pushing you right back into this dock. Kind of as you guys can see here, we've got the girl on the stern trying to kick it off the dock while the crew up on the bow's trying to get it lined up. But it just makes it tricky just because nothing wants to go on right at this point. And a lot of it has to do with trailer placement. If you back the trailer in too deep in this situation, you're going to make life even more difficult, especially since they're not powering on. Powering on, I mean, you leave the trailer just a little light. You leave the bunks out of the water just a little bit, and you can power it up and get it lined up, and it should hold. Without powering it on like this, it's just a little more difficult even because they've got to try and pull it manually up onto that trailer. So we've got somebody in the boat. The crew's still working on trying to get it lined up, but I can tell by looking at the stern of this, they're not even close yet. And the girl on the stern's kind of struggling even just to keep it over there. There we go. Gets it pushed out, kind of lined up. And let me know in the comments below. Do you guys power load or do you guys usually walk it on like this as well? I actually am in the same spot as most of you probably. I kind of go both ways. I shouldn't say that. I mostly almost never walk it on. I almost always find it's easier to power load. And not necessarily power load it the whole way up, but I can leave the trailer a little dry then, and it kind of just rolls on right when I do that. As to where when I feel like you're walking it on, you've really got to keep that trailer wet to be able to get it walked on far enough to kind of get it engaged. So one of the guys went and got back in the truck. I don't think we're definitely not ready to pull out, so I believe he's just realigning the trailer. I could be wrong. The girl in the bow is screaming something. And he's back out of the truck, but I don't think he really moved it much either. I thought for sure he was going to pull forward an inch or two or either go back an inch or two to try and get himself in a better spot, but and now again, we're just going to sit here and try and hold it centered over the trailer, and I still feel the easiest way for this would have been to go ahead and power load it just slightly on, get it kind of wedged up there, and then you wouldn't be dealing with these currents that you're dealing here at the end because it would already be on and kind of held in place. Maybe they were waiting to get the rest of the stuff off the boat. But our girl steps off, and it looks like now they're going to try and manually load this one and hopefully winch it up and on. And he's getting back in the truck again. Maybe we're on and good to go. And there they go. They're going to pull out, and actually it looks pretty good. And they're going to get out of here. And speaking of getting out of here, we're going to go ahead and get out of here as well. Thanks for watching, crew. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Miami Boat Ramps. If you did, please check out our other content. We have Wavy Boats, who does a bunch of great things down at the inlets. My channel, Broncos Guru, does some great comedy boating videos there as well. And of course, we got Boats vs. Haulover, a man and machine take on Mother Nature down at Haulover Inlet. And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and drop an anchor on the subscribe button here.